Good morning, third grade. I just got back from a lovely hike. It's beautiful outside. Weather's nice, it's slightly breezy, the sun is shining. There's nobody on the trail at all except me and my wife and my dogs. And I'm going to read you a short story here. I read a few fairy tales this morning and they all were just a little harsh. I was like, sometimes those tales, they're just rough. Old ladies burning and children getting killed and people's heads getting cut off. It sounded a little rough for the morning. But I will read you those stories because they're old stories and they're worth being heard again. But it's all in context, I think. So I'm going to read from this book today, Favorite Children's Stories from China and Tibet. And if you're in my class, I've been reading this book throughout the year, a little story here, a little story there. And there are some really interesting stories, and these are basically fairy tales and folk tales from China. A lot of the fairy tales and folk tales that we're more familiar with are from Europe, a lot of them. They're European, but this is an Asian one, and this is from southwest China, and it's called Soo Tan the Tiger and the Little Green Frog. There's Soo Tan. Once upon a time, when the world was very, very young, men and animals could talk to each other in their forest homes. Soo Tan was the name of an old tiger who used to wander the forest in search of food, and one day, as he was snuffling along the banks of a stream, a little frog began to tease him. Perched atop a mound of grass and mud, Master Frog blinked his big black eyes, and he shouted boldly to the tiger, "And where may you be going this bright and beautiful morning?" To himself, though, Croaky Frog said, "He certainly has come here to eat me, and only my wits can save me." Soo Tan, the tiger, answered, "I'm going into the forest to get something to eat. For 3 or 4 days I haven't eaten a morsel, and I'm tired, and I'm very hungry, and I think I will grab you and eat you, although you are unbearably small and nothing more than an appetizer. But first, tell me, who are you?" The little green frog blew up his belly as round as he could and answered in his deepest and croakiest voice, "I am the king of the frogs, and I can leap very far indeed, and I can do all kinds of wonderful things. Come now, here is a small river. Let's have a competition to see which of us can jump farther across." Soo Tan answered, "Good. I must take the first turn." And while the tiger was making ready for his leap, the frog crept around his mound of grass and mud and seized the tip of the tiger's tail and held fast, and Soo Tan took a flying leap to the other bank of the river, unaware that he was carrying the clever little green frog with him. Proud of his strength and agility, Soo Tan turned back to look toward the water when, to his surprise, he heard a voice directly behind him. "What are you looking for, Mr. Tiger?" And there, sitting off in the meadow, far beyond the spot to which the tiger had jumped, sat the little green frog. Soo Tan had no idea of the clever trick by which he had gotten there. "Well, Mr. Tiger," said the frog, laughing, "since I have beaten you in this competition, let's have another. Let's practice spitting." Now, not to be outwitted by so silly a little creature, the tiger accepted the challenge, but Soo Tan had nothing to eat, and his stomach was quite empty, and his tongue was quite dry, and try as hard as he would, only a little water trickled from his mouth when he tried to spit. When the little frog's turn came, he spat out a great mass of tiger hair which he had bitten from the end of the tiger's tail as they sailed across the river. "How does it happen that you have tiger hair in your stomach?" asked Soo Tan, shaking with fear. "Oh," said the frog airily, "yesterday I killed the tiger and ate him, and those are just a few hairs that I couldn't digest." Soo Tan now thought to himself, he must be terribly strong indeed to have killed a tiger, and today he jumped further than I across the stream. I'd better escape while I can. So he turned about and fled into the forest, and the farther he went and the faster he ran, until finally he reached the top of the mountain, and he sat down to catch his breath when he saw his old friend Mr. Fox coming down the path. "What makes you run so fast, Soo Tan?" asked the fox. "Oh," panted the tiger, "I have seen the king of the frogs, and he has just eaten many tigers, and he leapt over the river and was planning to eat me." The fox laughed at him and said, "You are a great tiger, running away from a little frog. Why, I am a small fox. I could get him under my foot and stamp him out. If you think you can kill him, I will go back with you, said the tiger. But when you see him, I know that you too will be afraid and will run away. We'd better tie our tails together so that we can help each other. I just read a story earlier today where a tiger and a deer tied their tails together. The clever little fox sat on his mound of grass and mud, chuckling over the tricks he had played on the great strong tiger. But as he sat there, I can show you this picture. There's the fox and the tiger. Looks like they're creeping up on old Froggy. And there's the frog spitting out the tiger hair. He is a little frog. He's just a tiny guy. So the frog sat there chuckling over the tricks he'd played on the great strong tiger. But as he sat there ruminating, which means thinking and remembering, he watched the path leading out of the deep, dark forest, for he was sure that he had not seen the last of Soo Tan. Can those two shining green lights possibly be tiger eyes? He asked himself, and before he could answer, the sharp nose of Mr. Fox appeared, and then the frog saw that tied to his tail, Mr. Fox dragged along his old enemy, Mr. Tiger. Then the little green frog shouted in his loudest voice, "You, sir, are a great fox. Today you haven't brought any worthy presents to your king. Turn about and look at your tail. Is that little dog you have brought along for my evening meal?" Then Soo Tan the tiger was sure that the fox was playing a trick on him and leading him to the king of the frogs to be killed and devoured, so he turned and ran with all of his might, dragging the fox behind him. He ran so fast that if they are not dead now, they are still running through the forest. But the clever little green frog sat on his mound of grass and mud, blinking his eyes and blew up his belly and grunted and chuckled at the way he had fooled the great striped tiger. And there he is, very pleased with himself. I'll do another video in a little bit with some more math problems. I sent some math work home yesterday via an email. Your parents can download it. It's some of the stuff we've been working on with area and perimeter. And sooner than later, I think we're going to be having some kind of classes online or something where I'm going to be teaching you some new stuff. I don't want you to forget the stuff that you've worked so hard to learn this year. So please practice your multiplication tables. Have your parents make you some division problems. There's that Math Aids link that I sent your parents. They can download and print all kinds of like little quizzes and stuff mathematically for you, addition and subtraction and rounding and multiplication and division. You can do all those. I'd like to get started on some fractions. That was my plan before the spring break happened, and now this has happened. So I hope you're all taking care of yourselves. I hope you're relaxing and being kind to your families and your brothers and sisters and your animals. I know you're all probably getting a little stir crazy. Maybe not. I am, actually. I'm ready to go back to school. But I love you all, and I wish you well. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.